Yeah.
Yeah, I like to listen to Sister Moon also.
Right, evil creatures as analogies for afflictions. So yesterday were birds, so we're going to add the creatures today. As for circumstantial retribution, great house is like the three realms. Okay, circumstantial retribution is a fixed karma. So you're born in a certain place, certain set of parents, there are certain other circumstances in which it's fixed. But it's important to understand that although it's obviously it's in the three realms, because they're still in samsara, or running the three worlds. But the thing is, what is important to understand is that destruction caused by ignorance is like a burning house. So in delusion, we create karma, leading us to face a rocky road. So even if one is born, I must explain about one could be born in a country when everything is good. Sometimes some people are born in country where it's good and bad. Sometimes there are people who are born in impoverished countries. So these are all circumstantial retribution. But that does not mean that one cannot be in practice, obviously, unless someone has born in a level that there's absolutely no food, and obviously and mind cannot be in a state to be able to practice. But have you ever wondered why a lot of these great spiritual teachers, where do you look at it and sort of analyze and where they are born in? So we know that during the time of the Buddha, obviously Buddha in India, then about the same time in China have Confucius, and there's Lao Tzu. And so there are certain, if you understand some of this condition in which they're also born in, then Bodhidharma, who came way after the Buddha, is almost 1,000 years, I believe, after the Buddha. Then he went over to China. Then there is Huineng and so on and so other famous teachers. So all these, there are some circumstances in which they're born in, and the reason is because they are there to awaken the spiritual consciousness. And I know to certain circumstances, I'm not aware of any famous or leading great religious teachers, although I tend to use the word spiritual, who was born in a country where there's everything. So, but there's also a saying that the next Buddha will still be born in India. Okay, and what is called India today, but it will be in a similar place. And for right retribution, these are our own karma that we create in this lifetime. In the house of raging fire aggregates, and these are the skandhas, like form, feeling, perception. I call it mental formation, but Master explained this as action. So it's the mental formation that lead to actions. We are lost in sync in the net of delusion. And the bottom aggregate faces aging, illness, and the 8 sufferings. So the 8 sufferings, birth, aging, illness, death, separation from loved ones, meeting one that you hate or not getting what you want, and the 5 skandhas, or these are the 8 sufferings. And this is because of our interaction of our 6 sensory consciousness, of our eye, and also ears, our tongue, and our feeling, the touch of the feeling. And our mind, of course, then interact with form, feeling, perception, manifestation, consciousness. So that will give us arising to afflictions. Now, so when that happens, we will react, right? So we see someone, for example, let's look at meeting someone that we hate. So when we see someone, or I in contact, we see someone that we hate, automatically goes to our mind, the feeling arises, And then we got some perception, this guy is going to hurt me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to react. So I will say unwholesome words. So those unwholesome words will hurt him. He will come and argue back and so on and so forth. And all these things will get into a state of affliction and resulting in new karmic causes that arises. So that's the reason why in the teaching, we still be in a state of equanimity. So in a state of equanimity, then we do not react. So if they look at it, you observe, and rightfully you apply the Dharma, and instead you transform reaction into response. And so in that way, your response should be wholesome. And obviously it's hard to do because at the moment the stir reaction that an emotion arises in you, you would tend to react. So for those who understand the workings of the chakras, emotion, I know the master mentioned the anger is in the belly, and that's exactly what it is. And that's where the emotion is residing in the lower chakra. And so that gives rise to that reaction. And and that's the reason why in the practice, Master explained that you need to be doing samadhi. Samadhi is stealing your mind. And how do you steal your mind is to calm yourself down. Okay, this is take a lot of practice, of course. So you only take a spark to burn up a prairie. So, and this is what reaction is, a small reaction, that's all is needed. So one minor affliction can cause raging fires in our minds, and one level needs to another, and all this smoke will come in. By the time all this smoke is actually smoke of emotion. So when the smoke of emotion, it will cloud our rational thinking. That's the reason why we have to return back to stillness in equanimity. Then we could see things more clearly without the smoke. So how can one then see things clearly? So if you want to see things clearly, you cannot see things with your outer eyes, which is your eyes itself, your tongue, because tongue will taste sweet, sour, bitter, so on and so forth. So you got to see things with your inner eyes, with your inner taste, inner smell, inner hearing. And these all are all what you call the inner developments of ourselves that can only come about by growing in your consciousness. Okay, that's where the spiritual consciousness is. So the direct retributions have to do with our body, and this is what our body is: the 5 sensory consciousness, right? The 5 senses plus our mind. So we interact with the 5 aggregates, and that's how these afflictions arise. So as a result of which we take action. So we had to create our own thinking or deviation of our belief. So our own thinking is purely a reaction, or sometimes from our own belief, right or wrongly. So that's the reason why when we practice the Dhamma, we need to thoroughly understand the teachings well. Because if not, we get a wrong set of belief, and we do those action believing that is the truth. So I'm sure you have met people like that. And they say, oh, I need, the way I need to teach you is I need to shout at you. There are teachers who are like that. So raising the voice doesn't work. But like what Sister Moon said, going into a silent war with the emotional feeling that is going to consume your body, and that's not healthy either. So the sources of numerous evils and transgressions are all actions of our body. And Master went on to say that some people say, to make a living, I have to kill animals, or I have to cause damage to the earth. So we all do so many things. And this is, again, because I need to live, I need to survive, therefore I need to do these things. So that is their belief, right? So, and this is the reason why when we understand the Dharma, we apply it with the right understanding. So without the right understanding, there cannot be right thoughts. Because if there's no right thoughts, you cannot have right action. So this follows sequentially in a Noble Eightfold Path. We can create so much karma that if we have not faced all the consequent karmic retribution in this lifetime, we'll continue to face them in the next. So in this direct retribution, if whatever karmic causes we create, we feel face in this lifetime, we can accept it. If we, in a practice, we accept in this lifetime, we purify that, that's great. But if not, it goes into the next life. And then this next life can arise and can become a fixed karma in the next life. So, and this is what it is. So when you remember the story of Angulimala, right? So when Angulimala encountered the Buddha after he killing 999 persons, and when he understood the Dharma well, and when the villagers took revenge on him and threw stones, he was stoned. He was stoned. It was hurt very badly. And at that point in time, he did not react. He allowed the villager to stone him. He was smiling, and he said that, this is what I was told, he said that he accepted it because this was his karmic retribution, and he was glad that he was able to repay this in this particular lifetime. Although he was very well afflicted because of deviation in his belief, because that particular belief that he had was taught by a teacher who gave him deviant teachings. And until he encountered the Buddha, that he got the right teachings, and he managed to repay that in his life, in that lifetime. So some people may seem to live and enjoy their life as they create karma. So have you seen people who have enjoyed life and create karma? They are big corporate figures. I'm sure you have seen that. They will hurt their employees and so on and so forth, or even other people who are called lesser beings than he or she is. So all these things will arise, and there will be retributions in a future lifetime. And so the next one here is that there are 3 types of angers, and this in Master's explanation. So there's an anger without reason. There are like snakes are poisonous one, and then and Master explained that, for example, a viper, the poison can even hurt avoid poison one even without contact. There also this spitting cobras. There's another one, even without even touching the cobra, can spit the poison at the victim. And these are the people who take out on others without reason. Second, anger with reason. And this is the analogy of scorpions. And there are people who say that, even though that they have admitted they are wrong, I still cannot forgive the person. I will never forgive that person in this lifetime. And this is also the reason why in the practice is very, very important. Part of the practice is to be forgiving. Forgiving is actually a very high level of learning. So in a journey of learning, we need to learn to forgive, because if you cannot forgive, you cannot progress beyond that. So you can read the Dharma, you can hear the Dharma, you can experience the Dharma, you can contemplate the Dharma, you can realize the Dharma, you can obtain inner knowing in the Dharma, you can serve in the name of the Dharma, and that's where it ends. And you have to learn to forgive. And when you learn to forgive, then you will be able to articulate the Dharma to teach others. Because one who is not forgiving will find it very hard to share and teach the Dharma, because that you need the purity in your heart to be able to do that. Third is this argumentative anger. We strongly cling to our understanding as right and others as wrong. And give an analogy of centipedes. They just love to argue and love to argue until they win. They're always constantly fighting. And I'm sure you have heard of people who would, for whatever reason, they just love to argue with you. And this is, I'll give you an example, but it's not meant to run down anybody. But there was once a job that it was an engagement that I had to do. And that particular engagement, I have to advise the minister or the ministry to table 2 pieces of legislation in Parliament. So I have to be in Parliament to observe the questions asked by the MPs, and so that I can then draft the response for the minister to debate in Parliament. Then the first time I was in Parliament, I was sitting behind the back benches, and I was observing. And it's quite amazing that they just argue for this, whether the right or wrong, it doesn't matter. They will argue if it's right, they argue until it's wrong. And they find that it's a job. So one day, I had the opportunity to sit next to one of them who later on became a minister. And I asked him this question. I said, the way they go on, and I can see the emotion in the process of the parliamentary debate. And I asked him, don't you feel, the emotion, anger drive up in you? And they say that, no, I enjoy that. That's the question he gave, that's the answer he gave me. I enjoy that, and I love doing that. And it's not about right or wrong. It just, that's our job. I just want to argue. So that's them. So that's the politicians. So mindsets and master's explanation. So here we get more evil creatures coming through in this part, and this and all this kind of analogy of anger, but it's also geckos, they say, and how the blood of the geckos can be used to control the women in a palace to test that chastity. So, and then we have the millipedes. They are not poisonous, they're not harmful, but this is the analogy of people who like to be alone. I was once taught to say that, can one be entirely alone and without going to become a hermit all his life and be in practice? Well, you can gain some realization, but not in the bodhisattva path. The bodhisattva path, you have to go amongst the masses. So being alone is not going to work. So there's the weasels. These weasels, obviously they're referring to people who just run them back and forth, and you can never stay still where they are. I have one Dharma brother. He just can't stay still, but he knows a lot about Dharma, but he does a lot of good things. He will travel from here anywhere, but it's hard. I can't even catch hold of him to be in Malaysia within a week, or where he stays within a week. He will be all over the place. So then there's also rats, and rats, these are the one these are the referring to the people who will then transmit illnesses. Illnesses need not necessarily be bodily illnesses, it could be illness of the mind too. So the lessons learned. We cannot take anything with us, but only our karma follow us. So therefore, we need to understand karma. So therefore, this affliction, and so in the, if you recall, the second bodhisattva vow, or it's the second vow that you have, all evil passions, I vow to uproot them all. So this is what it is. Why do we do that? So that we want to purify our karma as much as possible in this lifetime. Whatever that arises, we purify them. So therefore, for us as householders in practice, there's a lot of events will come to us. So we accept them, we purify them. So therefore, you must also remember that usually we get easily agitated by the person closest to you. And the person closest to you is there for a reason. The person closest to you is to correct you. So therefore, your spouse is one of your greatest teacher. So if you don't have patience and perseverance, learn from your spouse. Number one, you need to accept your spouse. Okay. Obviously, as a guy, we always say that the wives are usually very angry people, right? Okay, maybe I asked the wrong crowd, but
Dangerous crowd.
yeah, they just crowd. So
Eaten alive.
but you know what? To me, they're the great teacher. They're the great teacher to teach you patience and perseverance. But if the wife cannot stand the husband, then the reverse can also apply, right? So if the spouse were to give it up to you, you should kindly accept it and say, thank you very much, and will send my prayer or money back me home to whoever do that to me. So all the karma we create our ignorance, regardless of how tremendous or how deep it is in the future, all will be concentrated in the 5 aggregates or the 5 skandhas. And this and our direct retribution. So this skandhas and the 6 sensory consciousness react will give you all these afflictions as I explained. So the body arises convergence of many tiny elements. Remember the 36 impure elements. So the body is impure. So this is the mindfulness we should have. Is a mindfulness that the body is impure. So therefore, we cannot even think that we are pure. So therefore, if our body alone is impure, then if we apply the body to be in practice, is to purify our body, our speech, and the mind. And this is what the teaching is about. So if we take anger as part of daily living, we always speak very loud and argue with others. So the anger is the mind arising from the emotion that we have. So if you then refer back that often I'm shared with you all that desire comes from the heart, emotion goes through the mind. So the emotion is generated in our lower chakras. So when you train yourself to be in stillness, and how do we do that? So when you train the stillness is to actually calm down your lower chakra, so the lower chakra doesn't arise, and it goes up instead to the heart chakra. Your heart chakra is the one that manifests, and that is the part that the heart is the doorway to all virtues. The Buddha hopes that we can clearly recognize and understand how many types of afflictions we have. This is about, again, the part that I shared with you in the past. You want to practice in the Dharma, start by knowing yourself. So start by knowing, how do you know yourself? Do a self-analysis. When you and contemplate who are you, do a self-analysis, then go self-knowing. It's only from a self-knowing you can go into self-correction. It's only from a self-correction you go into self-development. And with self-development, you can go into self-commitment to be impactful. With self-commitment, you go into self-cultivation and the self-advancement, self-transformation, and self-realization. So for those who can be guided by Buddha, he uses the 5 vehicles and the 6 teachings, which Master already shared. So then we can apply that so that we can discover our nature through true suchness and its life in the Dharma. And I just want to look at the word discover. And it's important that it's a reason why it's called discover and not an attainment, for example, because if the true suchness is embedded within you, there is nothing for you to attain because it's already there. So it's for you to discover, it's for you to unearth what's already, all the defilements is buried inside there. And this is what the whole teaching is about, the karma, the purifying. So purification is nothing more than losing everything that you have in the skandhas. And that's when you can discover the true suchness. So in contemplation, change your character. When you live your life, when you learn for your life, whatever things that come to your life, inevitably, when you accept that and you purify yourself with all the events that come to your life, you will change your character. And when you change your character, you will change your mindset. And then you cultivate the path with a spiritual consciousness. And that's when you do that by mindset, you change your current mindset, inevitably your spiritual consciousness will grow and you will cultivate that. And then you'll be merciful in your ways. You'll become forgiving. so that you do not hold any grudges with anyone that upsets you in any way, whether past or present. It takes many lifetimes, so we must understand it's taken us many lifetimes to reach where we are right now. So it takes a matchstick to burn a forest. So do not waste it. So on relationship, change your character and you will change your mindset. When you transform your character, you will transform your destiny. Okay, Gan En brothers and sisters, thank you.
Brother Robert has left the building. Brother Robert has